Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. I suspect it's Monday if you're joining me. It could be Tuesday if you're in Australia, or my guess is New Zealand, but my guess is it's Monday here with you. Welcome, welcome. Good morning from Chicago, wherever you are in this big, beautiful, and messy world. I hope you find it in a day of peace, calm, love, kindness, compassion, and all things good for you. I am Carol C.C. Miller, your positive life strategist, peace activator, and global hugger, coming to you with another episode of Embrace Your Life Chats, where we focus on ways to heighten celebrations and lessen sorrows through a positive focus. Let me know where you're joining me from, and also let me know if this is the first time you've joined me because I always like to welcome in new people into the community and onto the lives. Hi, Nia and Colleen. I will come back to the comments in a moment. If I come in too soon, I will lose my train of thought on what we're here to discuss today, and then we'll be here for hours. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants to be here for hours on a Facebook Live. So, before we get started, I do this in through a site called StreamYard. So I'm on Positive Focus and I'm also in my Embrace Your Life community. If I'm in there, the Embrace Your Life community on Mondays, I like to welcome new people who have joined the community. So I'm going to do that really quickly and then share a little bit about myself. And Melissa, New Jersey, first time. Awesome. Hi, Pat in Pittsburgh. Perfect. And I see Lisa, and I believe Lisa lives in Ohio, if I recall. But so our new people in the Embrace Your Life community, welcome, welcome. Diane, Tammy, I hope I say this name right. Pallavi, Justin, Ellen, Becky, and Ivy. It's so good to have you again. What we're about with positive focus and in embracing your life. Being positive does not mean everything is going perfect in your life, but it is about finding the gems within the challenges that we go through. So we're going to get back to that because that's kind of the topic for today as well. But especially with new people here, Cleveland, oh, Cleveland, Georgia. Okay. Welcome, Stephanie. Good to have you here. I like to let people know a little bit about myself before we get involved. And one of the big things to know is I'm not a big believer in always or never. I've done things that I said I would never do. So the absolutes in the world don't tend to work for me. There's 7 billion people on this planet, and I can't know what is right for 7 billion people. I can tell you what is right for me and what I believe the majority of people believe. Like I believe the majority of people want to be happy, healthy, safe, and provided. There might be some people who don't want that. I don't know. So I try not to use the words always or never, or you have to do this, or you should do this. I live on a scale of 0 to 100, and 0 being always negative and 100 being always positive. I don't know anybody who's on either one of those. At the 0 or at the 100. I certainly know people who live close to the 100, and I know some people who live close to, not in my personal life, but in the big grand scheme of the world, I know some people who live pretty close to that 0 mark as well. So I work on saying 80 to 100% of being always positive, kind, loving, compassionate, and peaceful. I would even say I'm in the 90% range the majority of the time. The reason I decided to go with 80 is because I tend to be hardest on myself, like the majority of us are. So when unkindness visits me, it's usually more aimed at me than anybody else. When I lose my own peace of mind, it's because of me more than other people. So I really focus on staying in that space. If you're in the 70, 60, 50, 40, so on. It does not mean you're wrong. It does not mean you're bad. It just means where you are right now. And when you focus on how you want to feel, you're able to move forward from that. Secondly, I like to remind people I'm a coach. I love coaching. It is a blessing in my life to be able to support people focusing on their dreams. I am not a therapist or a counselor. And sometimes when we're going through things in life or past experiences, we need that type of help. And I just want you to know you are so worthy of feeling your best. So, whether it's a good friend to talk to, if it's a clergy member, if you're in a religion, if it's a counselor, therapist, or a coach, whoever it is that best fits your needs, I highly encourage you to seek that support out because it's important to feel good and to know that you're worthy to live your best life. So today's conversation is about positive. If you're, again, first time with me, I usually choose a word to talk about. often I'll have guests, and the rest of this week will be guests with me. And sometimes I do group panels as well. But when I'm solo, it's usually I pick a word and then we talk about an affirmation to go around with that word and tips on how to incorporate that word into your daily living. I did not realize it until a few days ago. I don't know if you pay attention to all the different holidays, like there's a annual chocolate day and grandparents day, and I mean besides the main holidays that we all know about. Apparently today is positive thinking day, and it started in 2003 by an entrepreneur who wanted people to focus on being positive for the day and to focus from there. So, I'm all about positive focus, so that's perfect word for us to use today. I do want to remind people the word positive, first of all, the definition is consisting in or characterized by the presence or possession of features or qualities rather than their absence. So, again, it's about focusing on what you want rather than focusing on what you don't want. I usually use the Merriam-Webster's definition, but this time I looked at several different ones, and this is the one that rang true the most to me. But it's always interesting to find the different definitions out there. So for me, being positive, I think a lot of people think positive is being unrealistic and not, burying your head against whatever's not going well in your world. That's not it for me at all. I do face challenges in my life. Fear visits me, frustration visits me, anger visits me, unworthiness visits me. All of those types of lower energy feelings visit me, but I have the daily tools to work through those feelings and move forward into feeling a little bit better or a lot better. And because I've made it a daily practice for so long, those feelings that, yes, they still visit me, but they don't stay as long because I can really quickly tell this doesn't feel good, so, what do I want to feel like? And I move forward from that space. So, the affirmation I chose for today, and if you're not aware of affirmations, it's just a statement. It's not positive or negative. It can be a positive statement. You can say, I am very smart, and that is a positive statement. However, if 10 minutes ago you just did something that you felt was really dumb, when you say, I am very smart, you immediately say, no, I'm not. I just did this 10 minutes ago. So a positive statement may not necessarily be positive for you. So you need to feel it for yourself. And it can be where you are right now or a little step forward. So if your affirmation is, I am very smart, and right now you don't feel that way, you could always add, I'm in the process of becoming very smart or in the process of feeling very smart. You want the affirmation to feel right for you or a step from where you're at, but not so unbelievable that you immediately say, no, that's not true. And you want to do that. So you want to really pay attention to it being a positive affirmation because I pretty sure the majority of us our self-talk has negative affirmations in it, and that's something that is a really good thing to work on. So the affirmation for today is, I choose to have a positive focus today. Choice is always going to be there. Sometimes choices are hard. Sometimes choices don't. The easier way to do it is to not choose the course that's best for you, but you still have a choice on how to respond rather than to react to any situation that we're going through. And then I'm a big quotes person. So the quote I chose today, I look for quotes that actually have the word in them that we're discussing. And positive, it just has so many meanings. And I didn't find a specific one, but this is one of my favorite quotes. It's by Henry Nguyen. Did I offer peace today? Did I bring a smile to someone's face? Did I say words of healing? Did I let go of my anger and resentment? Did I forgive? Did I love? These are the real questions. I must trust that the little bit of love that I sow now will bear many fruits here in this world and the life to come. So it's a good thing to ask yourself at the end of the day, like, what did you do today? How did you move through your day? Did you move through your day with a little bit more positivity? Or was today a really hard day and you were focused on what you don't want more than what you do want? It's not a right or wrong. It happens. We all have challenges to go through. But where are you placing the majority of your focus? Excuse me, late. Oh, hi, Jackie. Good to see you here. And so the tips for today are, if you joined me before, it's probably in 98% of my talks, if not 99. Gratitude. The more you can find gratitude for where you are right now, the more you're going to create from that space and feel good about it. The more that you can look back on your past and rather be resentful or regretful and find the gratitude in it, the more that you're going to bring that forward. A lot of times, people, personally, myself as well, we go through a challenging situation in our life and we find the gratitude on the other side of it. Like we went through that, and then looking back, you can see, oh, I see why that happened, or I see what I learned from it to grow from. But when you can find the gratitude in the moment of your challenge, it's not going to make your challenge go away, but it is going to lessen the impact of it. And it's going to make it easier to move through. So, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. When you catch yourself going down the negative path, do not beat yourself up over it, but ask yourself, okay, this doesn't feel good. What will feel better? And go into gratitude for that. And then the second thing is to be really gentle with yourself as you become aware of what you're thinking. When I start working with a coaching client, I will often ask them for the next week, I just want you to write down or notice what your thoughts are, your words are, and your actions are. I don't want you to judge them. I just want you to think about them. So it puts them in your awareness. And a lot of times we have negative self talk or the negative thoughts. Being positive is not about being positive 100% of the time. It's about being positive more than you're negative the majority of the time, whether it's 51%, 80%, 90%. It's whatever it is to feel your best. So when you're aware of it, and so they'll come back and tell me like all the negative things that they were thinking about or saying or doing, I tell them, pat yourself on the back because now you're aware you're not living in autopilot. And when we're in autopilot, life is living us. But when we're aware of our life, we are living our life. So the awareness of your negative thoughts, the awareness of your negative words or actions allows you to adjust them if you want. Maybe you're in a space that you just want to be angry for a while, and that's okay too. But you're aware of it now, so then you can make choices on where you want to go from here. I'm a big believer in feeling your feels. I did not used to be that person. I used to be the person many, many years ago who was just be happy. And I would ignore my feelings and stuff them and just focus on being happy. But it's really about feeling where you are right now and being gentle with it because that little child inside of you just wants to be heard too. Those hurts inside of you want to be heard and recognized and acknowledged. And the more that you recognize them, the quicker it will be to move through them. Challenges aren't going to, I don't know. Maybe your challenges can disappear in a second. I would say the majority of people, it's a process to get through those challenges. But when you face it with some positivity, with some gratitude and awareness for it, you're going to get through it a lot easier and more gentle. And then the other tip is humor. Humor, what do they say? That laughter is the best medicine. It's powerful. It helps you stay in a positive mindset. I know that even now, scientists and researchers are showing how helpful it is for when you're dealing with health challenges too, is to find the humor and not necessarily the humor in the situation, but to be in a humorous state. And one of these days, I'm going to talk about sarcasm because there's a lot of people who use sarcasm as humor, but keep in mind there is truth behind it. So it's not necessarily kind humor. Does not mean that I don't laugh at it from time to time, but I have certainly lessened my use of it. And I used to be a pretty sarcastic person. So keep in mind the sarcasm, while it is shared in a funny light, is often with a harshness behind it, but it's just said in a funny way. So keep in mind that. And then pay attention to who you hang around. I'm not at all asking you to lessen your time with certain people or people that you have to be around. But the more you hang out with people who are in a space of gratitude or a space of kindness or appreciation or positivity, you're going to naturally start being that way. I I truly believe, I do not have research to back this up, but I truly believe that you could be at two different tables. One table filled with eight people who are having a horrible day and they're complaining, blaming, and shaming. And if you go in there, unless you're in a super strong state of mind, you're probably going to start blaming, shaming, and complaining too. Same with being positive. If you go to a table where they're all focused on what they're grateful for and what they're appreciative about. Not from a place of unicorns and rainbows, but a place of the truth of where they are right now. Most likely, that's going to pull you into that energy as well. Again, remember, I'm not a 100% person. So there's going to be some people who could sit at the positive table and still be negative. And there's going to be some people who could be at the negative table and still remain positive. But I would say the majority of people, you kind of start blending into the energy you are around. And the more that you're aware of your own energy, then you can make the adjustments as necessary. So keep in mind who you're spending time with and how they are impacting your energy and how you are impacting their energy. And then lastly, it's really about focusing on your positive self talk. I would really encourage you all for the next week, as if you were one of my coaching clients, is to pay attention to what you say to yourself. It's really key to be aware of it because often our self talk is just programming that we've been thinking for years and years and years, and we're not even aware of it, and we're making decisions that way. That's one of the reasons that affirmations are so good because it helps reprogram those negative self talk that we've had for a long time. Probably not going to change overnight, but the more you focus on it, the more you start a daily practice of affirming who you are, who you want to be, and what you want in your life, the more that you're going to see that start to show up in your life. So, really pay attention to your thoughts on your self talk. I promise you, it's still, that's probably one of my biggest challenges. I think I've said it here. I know I've said it here before that I will get off of one of these lives and immediately say, "Why didn't you say that?" Or "Why did you stumble over those words?" Or "Why did you cough during it?" So I catch myself all the time on very critical judgment on myself, and we tend to be our worst enemies. So when you think of other people not being kind to yourself, you're probably not even paying attention to how unkind you are to your own self to begin with. So focus on that. And I promise you, I'm going to come into comments here in a second. So if you have any questions, let me know. Or if you have something else you would like me to cover, I'm here Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And the rest of this week, tomorrow, I will have Paul Zavagno joining me. And we're going to be talking about how to release stressful thoughts. So if you're in a space where you have those stressful thoughts, which we all do, come and join me tomorrow with Paul, and he'll give you some really good tips and tools on how to work through those stressful thoughts. And then on Thursday, Shauna Fisher will be back. Usually it's a second Tuesday, but she was out of town last week. So she's coming in, and I think I don't know, maybe it's a majority. Most people that I know are pet type people. So in order to have that positive focus, we also want to have that connection with our pets, and whether they're here with us or whether they've passed. And Shauna is an animal communicator. Excuse me. So you can bring your questions, whether it's an animal here or one that's gone over the Rainbow Bridge, and ask her questions, and she'll be able to answer those for you. And then lastly, I'm super, super excited that in the 22nd, I'm going to be part of a women's conference where there's 30 different women, and it's called the Wild Women's Conference. And we're helping talk about ways that we do and work with our own businesses and stay in that positive state of mind and to focus on what we do want in our lives rather than what we don't want. So it begins September 22nd, and it's to share wisdom, guided practices, and lessons from 30 different women dedicating time to elevating the standard in personal development industry. Coaches, healers, creatives, and artists shining their lights for you to experience in the comfort of your own home. I will post the link in here. I hope you join us. It starts on the 22nd, and it's a free webinar that you'll be able to join and listen into. So I would love to have you there. Certainly love to have you come back tomorrow and then again on Thursday. And let me check on questions really quickly here. Eckhart Tolle, a new, yeah, that's a, and Diane, I'm not sure if you're just mentioning his book or if that's something you're wanting me to talk about. But yes, A New Earth is a phenomenal book. And I was part of when Oprah had that series where she went through each chapter with him. I listened to that, and that was really helpful as well. They say that sarcasm is the lowest form of intelligence, and the highest form of wit, or is that the other way around? That's somebody from my community because it's a Facebook user. I have not heard that, but that's something I'll have to look into. So I'm not sure about that one. And Diane, yes, self sabotage when we're speaking poorly of ourselves, whether it be in humor. Now, I want to say, as far as humor goes, comedians, that's a whole different thing. That is their livelihood of what they do. But when we're individually using humor to put others down or maybe ourselves, you just want to pay attention to the energy behind it. Because sometimes it is funny to put yourself down as far as if it makes it feel lighter to you. I'm not sure I'm explaining that well. Because sometimes I will do that in a humorous way, but it feels good. It doesn't feel like I'm beating myself up. So it's just a shift in the way you perceive it or the emotion that it's coming from at the time. Because you could certainly use it in a moment where you're not feeling good and it's going to come out in that way of it not feeling good. Michelle, physically, I have struggles and I need to block the physical yuck. So I may dwell in the goods. So, okay, physical. So is it physical pain? Can you give me a little bit more on that? And if so, I will definitely add that to a future talk on how to move that. Are you talking about like chronic pain or what are you talking about with your physical struggles? Let me know that, Marshall, and we will definitely address that. Yes, Lisa, addressing the child within. You know, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, you've lived a life, and so much of our personality and experiences have happened in those formative years. And there's things that you don't even realize that you're pulling from when you're 30, 40, 50 that was really from a unhealed wound as a child. And that unhealed wound, I'm reading a book right now about trauma because sometimes when we think of trauma, we think of big, huge, serious traumas. But all trauma is serious. And if you're a young child and somebody has told you you're not worthy of anything, and it's somebody that you believe in and trust, that's a trauma that they may be carrying until they heal that wound. So it's when we're spewing anger or hurt, a lot of times it goes back to experiences as a child. This particular situation that we're in triggers that memory, and it may even be an unconscious memory that you're not even aware of. So it is about, being gentle with yourself and telling that little child inside of you, I've got your back. We're going to get through this together. So it's really important to be gentle with yourself. And again, we tend to be our worst enemy, so it takes some work on that. Um, yeah, funny is a safer place. Diane, do you believe that we are in constant meditation? What we say, do you think, feel every action, or can you call it constant prayer? That's a great question, Diane, and I'm going to need to think about that one for a bit. I guess I would say the reason I wouldn't say constant is because, again, that's an absolute for me. So I would say it's probably true the majority of the time. When I talk about that, what you're focusing on, you're giving it attention to grow, and you're giving it momentum, and that's what I call these Monday chats as Monday momentum, that you're giving it the momentum to grow. But when we have things that are not going well and we're giving that momentum to grow, it generally isn't like a nanosecond that those things happen. It's a cumulative approach of the majority of the time, I'm coming from a positive place, even in the challenging situations. That is the attention I want to grow. That is the focus I want to grow. I promise you that hopefully not today. It doesn't necessarily happen every day, but I promise you within this week, I'm going to be angry about something. It might be angry about something I did or didn't say or didn't do, but it's going to come up. But the majority of the time, I am focused on solutions rather than problems. So I'm giving solutions the energy to grow. And sometimes I give the problems a little bit of energy to grow, but then I return back to who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? And who and what do I want in my life? So I go back into those spaces. Um, yes, and triggers are very real. And it's so funny that you say that. I don't know that it's funny. Um, because I am such a word sensitive person and I'm a peace activator. So the word trigger initiates in my head pulling a gun trigger. So even the word trigger triggers me. So I've been trying to come up with a different word, but it really is the one that explains what we're talking about. There's variety of different triggers besides one on a gun, but that's what I immediately think of. So it's like, oh, it's even more jarring for me than it is for other people. So it's just interesting. And the more you're aware of your thoughts, the more you're aware of your words, and the more that you're aware of your actions, that's where you can make those changes if you want to. Sadness is okay. Anger is okay. Frustration is okay. Doubt is okay. All of those feelings are okay, but ask yourself, is that who you want to be and how you want to show up? They are there to remind you that you're not where you want to be or who you want to be. Little shifts of your perspective, little shifts in your focus is going to bring you into the space of feeling a little bit better. And when you're in a really hard time, it just takes more focus and more work and more gentleness. When we beat ourselves up for negative thoughts, negative words, negative actions, we are feeding that energy. When we realize, oh, didn't even think about that as being hard on myself, and be gentle and move forward into who we want to be and how we want to be, then you're giving that momentum into the positive, gentle, kind, loving, peaceful way. If you really want a loving world, it's going to start with each of us to be more loving to ourselves, a kinder world, kindness to yourself, a peaceful, compassionate world. Find that within yourself. And the more you practice it for yourself, the easier it will be to find in other people. Do you think all feelings are actually about love and lack of love? Diane, you've got some great questions today. Um, because I'm not an always or never, but I'm kind of believing yes, that's probably the majority of the times true for me anyway. That it's when I'm in a loving space or when I've stepped away from love. But I also in the I'm gonna kind of contradict myself here a second, Diane, because I also believe love never leaves. I may not be giving it attention, but when I am sad, when I am angry, when I am frustrated, when I feel the injustice in the world or whatever, and I'm in that place of hurt, I know love is right here. I'm just not focused on it. So I guess in some ways, for me, love is always, I mean, love is, and then I have stepped out of it with my focus, if that makes sense. I didn't answer my friend's call because I was in my mind. I have to get in my spirit, heartfelt place now so I can listen because I find I get so excited with their stuff and then drained. Um, that's a great point, Marshall, as far as drain. We all have friends who lift us up, inspire us to be our best selves. And then we have friends that we do all the lifting up and inspiring, and they kind of drain us because they take all of our energy because they need it for themselves when they're coming from a space. So it really is about they're not right, they're not wrong, they're not good or bad, but knowing your own energy level allows you to show up for that person and for yourself from the best possible space. So, not answering the phone when you know that you're not ready for that call or don't have time for that call or whatever is really good on showing personal boundaries and honoring yourself. So keep that up. Yes, love never leaves. I love that. So thank you, Dan, for those questions. Those were really good ones. If I missed any, I try to see them all as they come through, and I promise you, I got a few meetings coming up, but I come back later in the day to read them, and I'm always surprised when I find somebody that I did not speak to on the live because I missed their comment. So I will come back later as well. So I think I've covered everything today. Have a positively focused day today. I'm going to be putting it in comments. I would love for you to join me on this women's conference starting on the 22nd. Absolutely, come back tomorrow. Paul is an amazing coach. He's certified in the work of Byron Katie, and that's what we're talking about on inquiring on stressful thoughts. It's a practice that I've used for a long time. He is 10 plus years, and I always joke because, like, when I'm in a really stressful thought, I don't think of that as a way to get out of it until I've calmed down a little bit. And then I'm like, oh, let's do the work on this. So it's a really powerful tool. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes and the more it comes into your mind when you're dealing with a hard situation as well. And then Thursday, come back for Shauna and animal communication. Bring your pet questions. And she's told me it doesn't matter if your pet has been gone 10 years or 2 months or 2 days, that she's able to connect with their energy, whether they're living or gone. So even if it's a pet that may still be living, but they're no longer living with you, she can probably connect with them. And it's just fascinating that she's able to do that. So that's what I've got for you today. I think I've answered all of your questions. I hope you have a most amazing Monday. And remember, you matter. You matter to me. You matter to the world. And most importantly, you matter to you. So we'll talk soon, tomorrow for sure. And come join me in the free women's conference. I will post the link and I will talk to you soon. So long for now.